Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Today is March 10th, 2025. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings, talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. You should see a background image of the landing page. All of you should have your landing page now. If you don't have it, I'll give you our information here at the bottom of the session so we can make sure you have your landing page. Do you have to have a landing page as a reseller? No. Does it help quite a bit? Yes, because you have somewhere to drive people into, and then it has the drip marketing. All right, so with that, today's March 10th. We're going to talk about two items: the client placement program, which we did a soft launch on Friday, so we're going to do a formal launch on it today. And then we've revised the incentive trip. So let's knock that one out first because it's quicker. So in the past, we were doing monthly incentive trips for the top 10 producers. And so whomever of you as resellers sold the most shelf corps the prior calendar month, then you qualified for the trip. However, we've got a lot of high performers, more than 10, and it was causing some dissatisfaction. So we decided, okay, let's not limit it to the top 10. So going forward, starting next month, everyone for this month, which we'll talk about, you should already have your airline tickets and everything's committed for this month, but for the trip this month. But for those of you in the month of March that qualify, which just means be a six-figure earner. Sounds like a big deal. It's not. A deal a day, because you're making $5,000 a day on average net profit up front. Deal a day, 20 days, you're in. So this should be most of you, if not all of you. So we're going to have a really big group next month. So, but next week for last month's qualifiers, we're going to Clearwater Beach. And so it's kind of the early spring break season, but should be a good time. Everyone that qualified from last month, you should have your tickets. And a couple of you got on to us to make sure that you're flying first class. So yes, Ivory, yes, Jocelyn, Corinthian, everyone should have first class tickets. We're covering the food, the hotel, and then we're switching from Lyft over to UberX. So you should have a code so you can book the UberX from the airport to the hotel, and that'll bill directly to us. UberX only. We had a bit of a scheduling issue, so we're doing the 10K run now Tuesday morning next week, not Wednesday morning. So any questions on the incentive trip qualifications? If you're missing your travel itinerary for next week, get with us right away because we're all meeting next Monday, right, in Florida. As far as if you didn't meet the criteria from last month, we should have plenty of time in March to get 20 deals in, and then that will allow you to join us next month for the trip. Any questions on incentive trips? Franz asked if you can't go, if you can get a cash voucher. Yeah, they'll do, because we know that life circumstances may not allow you to go. So if that's the case, they'll do a cash voucher back to you. Okay, good. So I think we're good there. So let's go back and revisit the client placement program. CPP is the acronym. So what's the problem that we're solving? Well, in the big picture, what you and I do, our model does, is we help increase financial literacy and increase access to capital. So a lot of small business owners, they want money, they need money to start or grow a business, but often they don't have a fundable business. So there's a problem. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to help people build fundable businesses, but that tends to have some volatility to it. So we've almost entirely, not completely, but almost entirely switched over to focusing on shelf corps, because shelf corps, they're pre-built, they're ready to go to funding, and we just need to get them into the client's hands. So the shelf corp itself isn't changing. It's just your role. So as a reseller, or you can call yourself a grant coordinator, whatever title you want, your job is to really go out, create awareness, to educate and enroll clients, sell shelf corps. That's really what you do. A number of you are doing an incredible job at it. and that's clear with all of you that's going to be in Florida next week. However, some of you just don't seem to have a knack for selling, which is a little bit ironic, right? Because if you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a plumber, a reseller. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be in my opinion, you've got to be of the mindset that you want to connect what you offer to what people need. You got to solve their problems, right? Through whatever goods or services. Otherwise, you won't have any clients. No clients is no money. No money is a closed business. But regardless, we realize that some of you just frankly aren't good or passionate or interested in actually connecting with clients. So with the client placement program, we will provide you the client to work with. So for example, I think on our inaugural day, we ended up, I think, placing 10 or 12 clients last Friday. And so far, that's going really well. So with the CPP, this is not a lead generation system. These are clients that are already contracted. So they have already contracted with us. They're not a prospect. They're not a lead. They're a signed contract. We have already ran them through their funding app, and they've been pre-approved for at least 15,000. Now they might be pre-approved for more, but we're not going to provide you a client unless they're credible enough, at least for 15,000 of cash funding, because that's what most of you are selling the Shelf Corp for. So let's pause there. Any questions? Does this make sense? So you're a reseller. Your normal job is to go out and find prospects, educate prospects, and enroll them. That's what you normally do. If you're not good at that, or you don't want to do that, or you just want to outsource that part that we'll call the lead generation and the client contracting portion, then you can use the client placement program. We had a number of you on Friday ask, well, wait, this almost sounds too good to be true, because if we're already developing the client, why would we bother sending them to you? It's a capacity issue right now. So we're building and I gave you a new construction update in the email if you saw that this morning. So over the weekend, we went to the design studio so we're building a new office building, constructing a new office building here on our property. We went in over the weekend to their design studio, finished the color selections, which is a big pain, interior, exterior, had to put on the floor plan where all the Ethernet cables are going to be and plugs and all of that. It's a very painful process I'd rather not be involved with. But the bottom line is, until we have that new office open, we're out of space. So during this time period, we're going to run the client placement program. So if you want to work with these clients that are under contract that exceed our ability to work with, then you can work with them. All right. So if you have any other questions, just type it in. So let's talk about the process. How does this work? So you want clients to be able to help people, to make money. You don't want to develop your own clients. How does it work? So first, you need to let us know if you want to participate in the CPP. We have an agreement. We'll send you an agreement. There is a cost for the CPP. Some of you responded over the weekend like, oh, there's a cost. Well, of course, we have to pay the reps to go out and generate clients, right? No, you're the business owner of your business. And if you're expecting us to find people that for free will go generate leads and clients for you, essentially outsource your sales, I don't know where to find that free labor. But if you want a CPP, yes, there's a cost. Is it a good deal? I think so, because you know you're going to make at least 10,000 off of them. So yeah, I think it's a good deal. But and it's kind of what Eric was saying over the weekend. Entrepreneurs look at dollars and cents as what's my investment and what's my return on investment. Consumers are less sophisticated entrepreneurs, just look at the expense. So is there expense to get a client placement? Of course. And it makes sense because someone had to go out and do the marketing, to do the pitch, to do the close. Someone's got to pay for that. Now, if you don't want to use the client placement program, it doesn't matter to me, then you don't need to spend any money and you can figure out on your own with our support, of course, how to generate your own clients. But yeah, there's a cost because we have to pay the people that are out developing the clients. So then we'll transfer. So it's actually like a bill of sale. We're literally transferring to you the client agreement. You're the owner. So there was some discussion on Friday. Well, this sounds like quick cash. No, no, no. Quick cash is accounts receivables. This, I guess, is also AR, but it's literally assigned active client. So much different. So this is a client ready for you to work with. So again, they will have already been pre-approved for at least 15,000 or they're not eligible. So in other words, if we have someone that's not qualified for cash funding or at least didn't get pre-approved for at least 15,000, we're not going to transfer them to you because that's not what you'd want. You would want a pre-approved client. So then what are you going to do? Just simply walk with them through the steps, help them accept the funding, and then they're going to pay you. So then we can move forward in the process. Very straightforward. Louise is asking, are we going to continue this once our new building is built? I don't know. I mean, we're adding a bunch of square footage. We're adding a bunch of new employees. That'll be later this year. And so I don't know if the CPP will continue. But if you looked at this, Lewis, as a bridge between where you're at and where you need to be over the next 30, 60, 90 days, this would allow you, I think, to be a six-figure earner, Lewis, or anyone else per month. I would see this as a valuable interim, but I don't know if it'll continue once we have our new staff on board. So what's in it for you? Well, you don't have to generate the clients. The clients are literally already under contract and creates cash flow for you. Our standard resources are here, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Our phone number. If you want to buy a client placement program, let us know, email us, and we'll send you over the agreement. The agreement is one whereby we're actually issuing a bill of sale and legally transferring that contract to you. So then the client will pay you instead of us. If you need quick cash, it's on 509 Pacific. If you're not a reseller or grant coordinator yet, these two things mean the same, by the way. You can do that on 509 Pacific. Our past trainings are on YouTube. All right, so with that, let's open it up to questions, comments, concerns. So Antonio asked, seems like that question, which was just answered, right, Antonio? So and Danielle brings up a good point. So if you want to be a reseller, you're welcome to be a reseller. Doesn't cost you anything, right? Free, no contract to sign. As a reseller, it gives you a new revenue stream because I see each of you as the CEO of your own business. And so you could add a new revenue stream, the reseller revenue stream, if you want. And it's not meant to be get rich quick, but it's simple and no risk because there's no cost to be a reseller. And it's designed to generate 5,000 a day in daily deposits into your bank account. Well, not only is 5,000 a day valuable because you have money to spend that you might not have had otherwise, but also if you're in the process of getting funding yourself, you know that strengthens your file. A lender would always rather loan money to a business that can demonstrate its ability to repay a debt versus a broke business. So we do have a lot of clients that decide to become resellers because they need help with some liquidity issues. We're not MLM or network marketing, but we do pay overrides. So what's great is if you bring someone in that becomes a reseller, they get paid and you get paid. All right, Shelton's asking about the process, which ironically we just went through. So that should be shared on the screen, Shelton. Danielle's asked about when the pay comes. Yeah, so as a reseller, what you're doing normally is generating the lead, closing the lead, which means they're signing your contract. We provide you for free an editable template for the reseller, for our resellers, which is for the client to buy a shelf corp. If you don't have that, that means you probably haven't done this step. So we need to do this step. And then, and so that's really not the topic today, but I'll answer your question. But there's more detailed discussion on the process on the training page. So step one, client needs to sign a contract. Step two, and they have no upfront cost. Step two, we get them funding offer. Step three, they accept the funding offer. Step four, they pay you for the shelf court because you're the reseller. So they're buying the shelf court from you. They're not buying it from us, they're buying it from you. And then we do all the fulfillment. So the short answer is yes, Daniel, you're paid 5,000 upfront, plus you're paid 5 points on the client's capital raise. And we've had some really good trainings that went into that more fully. You can find here. Ben asks, once we have a client transfer to us, how do we walk them through? Well, probably what will happen is if it's your first CPP, we may need to kind of walk you through the process so you can walk them through it. And then afterwards, it's very intuitive. But the bottom line is, so let's get over here. So what's going to happen is the client's already contracted. So they're not a prospect, they're not a lead, they're a client. They've already filled out the funding app. They already have cash offers. So if you buy a CPP, we're going to transfer that client to you. We're going to do a warm handoff, and then you'll start being the interface with the client. But really, it's just helping the client accept one or more of those offers. And each of those offers that they have is going to put money in their pocket. It's going to allow them to then it puts money in your pocket because you're paid off of the transactions. So hopefully that made sense. All right, thank you, Ben, for that. Let's see. Antonio says, so I must have misunderstood. I thought you said that there was a cost. Well, I mean, we went through this, Antonio. It may be me, but there it is, number 2 on the process. So again, this is not our attempt to go sell you something. As a reseller, there's no cost to sign up, no contract to sign up, no performance requirements. But any business, you have to have clients paying you, or there's no sustainability. Some of you are doing great, and that's witnessed by a group of us going next week to Florida, right? So a lot of you get it, but some of you seem to be struggling. So since we're at capacity until the new building opens with more space for more staff, we said, hey, let's get clients out into your hands so you can help them if you want. And it's just simply meant to be a resource. If it's an annoyance or a bother to you, I apologize. But as a reseller, we really want resellers that are actively engaged. There are no production requirements, but the average reseller, if you look at we have almost 300 resellers now. So the average reseller does a deal a day, about 20 a month. So it's a side gig for them. It's not their primary occupation, not their primary income, but 5,000 a day times 20 times a month, that's 100,000 a month, right? That's what we were talking about here. So that's very sustainable. If you're not tracking with those types of numbers, then you need to pause and figure out, well, what's the problem? Do you not have enough prospects to talk to become leads? Are you not good at closing the leads to make them clients? Where's the problem? Some of you are really good at getting broke people, right? So you can get 1 million broke people, but then there's a problem. So that's why we don't want to send you broke people. In the client placement program, if they're not pre-approved for at least 15,000, we're not going to offer it to you. It doesn't mean that they're not good people. We'll still work with them, but we're not going to do a transfer of anyone that doesn't meet this minimum criteria. Prelo is one of our resellers that participated in the CPP on Friday, and his quote is, "It's really a no-brainer." I agree. I think if you're just logical, get away from the emotion. If you're going to run any business, again, you have to have clients. Doctor, plumber, reseller, doesn't matter the industry. You've got to have clients. And for most businesses, there's a cost of acquiring a client, of developing a client, whether it be marketing or doing a commission split with the attorneys, the accountants, the bankers that are referring to you. There's almost always a client acquisition cost. If we're not thinking that way, we probably have more of a consumer mindset than a business mindset. So this has a very clear client acquisition cost. If you think it's a good deal, then do it. If you think it's not a good deal, then don't do it. But the way to evaluate it, I think, is, are you on track to make 100,000 as a reseller this month? 20 deal a day. If not, we probably need to do something different. And so I can tell you, of these folks that join us, they spend money marketing, right? Because it often, in most businesses, it not paying us, but it costs money to create awareness. So here you have a finite cost per client, but the client's going to pay you at least 10,000, minimum 10,000. So you're going to have a 10-to-1 ROI. But if you have more affordable, more efficient ways to generate clients, do it your way. It's fine. You're not going to hurt our feelings. All right, let's see here. Yeah, it's much like anything in business. Buy or build. Go build your own leads, build your own client base, or you can buy them. But a number of you were going to Kyle and other lead sources and spending money to buy leads. Well, that's not necessarily a bad decision, but what happens if those leads don't become clients? You could say, oh, kind of wasted some money, right? I spent money on leads from Kyle and people didn't sign up, or not enough people signed up. Well, here, these are not leads. These are not leads. They're not prospects. They're signed contracts. And we went through on Friday during the live training and showed you exactly how those contracts look. So there's no funny business. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? In closing, my encouragement is, let's decide if being a reseller is really something you want to do. And it's okay if it's not. If it is, I don't think you can dabble in much of anything and be very proficient. So I would say, if you want to be a reseller, let's have a goal of doing a deal a day, a client enrollment a day, 20 times a month. If not, maybe you should find something else to do. I mean, Uber X needs more drivers to drive our people around, right? So, and I think this is kind of what Claude's getting to, and I guess I'll put it on here. I'm a little bit hesitant, but I'll put it on here. And this is Claude's concept: haves versus have-nots. So what is it? And this is kind of Claude's note here. What makes a have? We'll put quotes around it because we're not trying to judge people, and it's certainly not race, gender, education. But what makes a have versus a have not? So I guess one example would be, a have is the owner and a have not is a worker, because it's real easy to be a worker, right? You can just go drive an Uber X and be a worker, earn a menial income, and drive the haves around. But owners, and I know so many of you make so much money, but when we're talking 5,000 a day times 20 times a month, 100,000 a month, to me, 100,000 a month is a pretty good income. That's the type of income that haves make. You're not going to find have-nots. You're not going to find workers that typically make 100,000 a month. Haves are focused on building wealth. Have-nots are focused on making a paycheck. Haves focus on leverage. What can I do to grow my business and earn a positive ROI? Have-nots typically are just looking at the expense. So there are expenses in running a business. So I am not saying that there has to be an expense of the CPP for you to be a reseller. I'm not even trying to infer that. But I don't think it's reasonable to think that you're going to grow to any scale without having some sort of expenses to generate clients. And so this is a very predictable, measurable, and profitable. Because again, your ROI is 10 to 1. So go spend some money on Google ads, or go spend some money on billboards, whatever you want. And do you anticipate that you'll get a 10 to 1 ROI? Well, this is a guaranteed 10 to 1. All right, so let's see what other comments we have. Yeah, so Antonio's asking about the timing. So you got to remember there's real people. There's real people that are going out and generating these leads, Antonio, and getting them under contract for you to work with. Those people want to be paid. And so a number of you said, well, why do we have to charge for the CPP? Because if we don't charge, then no one wants to go generate clients for you, right? Someone's actually going and doing the work. So I would say if you're opposed to this, it's perfectly fine. Generate your own leads. And I do think you could probably generate your own leads for less than $1,000 a deal, but this is just very damn convenient. All right. Well, we covered a lot, not trying to persuade you, but let's just in review. We covered the new requirements for the incentive trips. We're trying to make these more inclusive. We want everyone. We have 542 of you on this morning. We literally would love all 542 of you to qualify next month. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be a budget breaker for us? But it'd be great. In the past, we were only inviting the top 10 producers, and we'll see the top 10 of you next week in Clearwater. But starting this month's qualification for April's trip, everyone's invited. We just need to be a six-figure earner. And that's very easy to do, regardless if you want to use the CPP or not. And then we had a little bit of Claude discussion, which really wasn't planned. And then we gone through the client placement program. So it's just outsourcing client development. Maybe it's a good idea for you. Maybe it's a bad idea. It doesn't really matter to me, whatever you want. And then if you're interested, let us know and we'll send the agreement. Everything we do is in writing. So there is an agreement we would send to you if you wanted to do the CPP, because when we transfer that client file to you, we need to legally, ethically, transparently show it's now your contract. Now they owe you. They don't owe us now, they owe you. But these are real clients that are active in the process. These are not default non-participating clients. And all of them have been pre-approved for at least 15,000. Because remember, as a performance fee, you're making a performance fee even off the first round of funding. So in almost every instance, just their first round of funding performance fee will generate a positive ROI for you, let alone them buying a shelf quote for you. All right, well, thanks everyone. No Zoom tomorrow. Going to be in court, part of our litigation process. So we'll be in court tomorrow collecting money for some of you, but we'll be back on Wednesday. No Zoom tomorrow. See you back Wednesday. Have a great day. Let us know if we can help. Bye.